The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from Wyoming.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise in support of my amendment number 40 to H.R. 4394, which prohibits the use of funds to finalize, implement, administer, or enforce the tyrannical, unnecessary, and wrong-headed, quote, energy conservation standards for consumer water heaters. In late July of this year, the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy proposed a rule to enforce strict conservation standards for consumer water heaters, holding affordable and reliable home appliances hostage to the will of a bunch of unelected bureaucrats in the federal government. All of this is being done in the name of the allegedly reducing global emissions and enforcing an energy transition that will do nothing to actually change global temperatures, either in the short or long term, but will absolutely cause a substantial increase in the cost of our appliances. We are facing some serious crises in this country: an open border, over 8 million illegal aliens invading America, a broken supply chain, bone-crushing inflation, China spying on us from above, a war in the Middle East, etc., etc., etc. And what does this administration focus on? Making all of us poorer in order to force us to use costly appliances that don't work. This administration is incapable of addressing the real issues that are important to the American public. So what do? They target the home appliances, tools, and vehicles that actually work, from gas stoves to water heaters, from air conditioners to lawnmowers, from internal combustion engine to reliable vehicles. This nonsense needs to stop, and I encourage the adoption of my amendment, and I reserve.
Gentlewoman reserves. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Ohio rise?
I rise to oppose the gentlelady's amendment.
Gentlewoman is recognized.
First, I'd like to oppose the amendment because the Department of Energy is charged with implementing congressionally directed energy efficiency standards. So they're implementing the laws we passed. The Department of Energy drafts energy efficiency regulations with the full participation of the manufacturers and the public at large. And they do issue their guidelines and regulations for review, but the end result is people save money. They save money on water heaters. They save money on what it costs to wash clothes at home, their refrigerators. When these standards are set forth, they also promote innovation. We get a lot of new inventions across the country, and we can see the results of that every day. The benefits are real. As a result of the Department of Energy's efficiency actions in the past, cost savings for American families and businesses are projected to reach nearly $2 trillion by 2030. It not only makes sense for the consumer, frankly, it makes sense for the country because it means that the systems to supply the energy are also more efficient. It drives us to be better at what we do. And it's estimated per household, the energy efficiencies achieved already have amounted to over $6,000 of savings for every American every month when you pay every one of those bills, your gas bills, your electric bills, everything you have to pay for in the house. The Department of Energy estimates that this specific rule would slash household utility costs by over $11 billion annually to save consumers $198 billion on their energy bills over 30 years. When we look at the whole, And with population growing, we got to do a better job of trying to save resources in order to make sure that everyone has the ability to access them. Stopping the Department of Energy from finalizing, implementing, or enforcing energy efficiency standards basically is bicycling backwards and will only create uncertainty for manufacturers and consumers. And for consumers, costs go up when we don't pay attention. So with respect to the proposed energy efficiency standards for consumer water heaters, I urge my colleagues with concerns to participate fully in the rulemaking process, as I have done, with respect to my concerns about the proposed energy efficiency standards for distribution transformers. That is appropriate. It's a response people can take to the proposed rule and companies can take, and Congress has vested the Department of Energy with the authority to promulgate these rules. So let us fully participate in the process. Let's make America better. Let's modernize America. And I urge my colleagues to reject this amendment, and I yield back.
Gentlewoman yields back. The gentlewoman from Wyoming is recognized.
In this latest proposal, the administration is intentionally attempting to force an increase in the cost of water heaters for consumers and to take those water heaters that actually work off the market. What did I call that a few minutes ago? Oh yeah, government-imposed wretchedness. The cost of home appliances is skyrocketing, all because of this administration's war on prosperity. New regulations, government-imposed market uncertainty, and intentionally disrupted supply chain, there is certainly a method to their madness. And a new word and concept has been born. This administration and the radical bureaucrats running it have one goal in mind, and they call it de-development. Let that sink in. Throughout most of modern history, our political leaders have sought to improve our standard of living, to improve prosperity, to make out our everyday goods and needs more affordable, not less so. Yet that is where we are now. The Biden administration is intentionally seeking to make us all poorer, to make us more dependent on the government, to take away our ability to feed, clothe, and house our families. It is the concept of de-development that underlines the very purpose of the energy conservation standards for consumer water heaters. And it is for that reason that we must make sure that such standards never go into effect. More than 9 million water heaters are sold in the United States every year. What water heaters we use should be a matter of personal freedom and economic choice. Our water heater manufacturers have built the most efficient and environmental-friendly products in the world. But that isn't enough. Oh no, not when the goal is not to make our necessary appliances more affordable, but when the goal is to use regulations to change human behavior. I will say it again. When government-imposed wretchedness is not a byproduct of agency action, but the purpose of the action itself, you know that you have an out-of-control government that must be starved of money. And that is exactly what my amendment does. It starves these new standards of the lifeblood that they need to be weaponized against the American people. The bottom line is this: the Biden administration doesn't care about personal freedom or economic choice, and Democrats are cheering every opportunity they get to intervene in the day-to-day lives of Americans. Congress has the authority and responsibility to challenge the extent to which these proposed standards are both technically feasible and economically justified, and they are neither. This administration's strategy to destroy everything that works is causing energy poverty in vulnerable communities, while powerful clean energy companies are reaping the benefits of billions and billions of dollars in federal taxpayer subsidies. The consumers are bearing the burden of the costs. Many Americans are already struggling to heat their homes, pay their utilities, and put food on the table, primarily because of this administration's failed energy policies. This proposed rule only worsens those problems while solving absolutely nothing. I ask my colleagues to join me in support of freedom and economic prosperity by supporting my amendment to defund this administration's proposed rule by preventing them from finalizing, implementing, and enforcing rulemaking pertaining to energy conservation standards for consumer water heaters. This is tyranny, and it needs to stop. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
Gentlewoman yields back. The question is on the amendment offered by the gentlewoman from Wyoming. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The amendment is agreed to.